Hey, welcome back to the shop. Before we get into this project that I just took on, take a look at this this video sequence.
Wow, that is an oh my, that's a room.
There's a whole room in there, huh?
Room in there.
Is it empty?
Yeah.
Is there anything in there?
There's a very long piece of drywall that they've just leaned up against a corner.
They just stored it in there and then...
Yeah, and like, it's got a tile floor in there.
A tile? Okay, there's tile underneath the kitchen.
Yeah, and there is studs in there. There is like, in the middle, there's one post.
Oh, they slapped in one post.
Yeah.
And then completely blocked it up.
This is a very nice, large pantry you're about to have.
Oh, I'm so excited!
Why would they...
Nope, I did bounce off. Okay, it's starting. Let's see what we can see.
99 to 100% of you have figured out what's going on with Cree busting through that wall. They found a hidden closed-off space in the kitchen in the house she bought a year ago. They just discovered it. Now the giveaway was being out in the backyard one day and seeing a window next to the kitchen door and then going back, wait a minute, there's a window, where's it go? So you see Jamie up there on the ladder looking in the window, and sure enough, there was an enclosed space, a 6x4 foot room that had never been finished when the house was remodeled. The previous owner said it was going to be a powder room. They never got around to it apparently. What Cree wants in her busted out room now is a pantry, but she wants a hidden secret door. If you ever price these secret door kits, they are hella expensive. So she's asked me, can you build me one? Well, I've never done one before. We can give it a try. So we found some hinges. She bought the hinges. I came up with the design. She approved the design, so we're going to go ahead and build this. It's going to look like a bookcase and spice rack built into the wall. And when you want to get into the pantry, you just reach over and click. It'll be held closed by rare earth magnets. It's good. Now, you'll see when we go in and install it that the back wall of her kitchen has a dry sink up against it, so she wants the door to open from right to left so she's not interfering with the dry sink. Imagine the look on people's faces when she asks, would you go into the pantry please and get me some spices? And they're looking around like, pantry? Yeah, that's in the pantry. What pantry? That pantry. And she opens the door. I mean, it won't be a secret for long, but we're trying to keep this hush-hush. Of course, it won't go public until this video is published. So let me show you my mock-up to make sure I got the geometry right for this door. So here's the mock-up. The MDF piece here represents the bookcase itself, footprint of the bookcase. The plywood on the bottom and represents the casing, as well as these two pieces of plywood here. I know I'm blocking the camera. There's one here and one here that represents the casing. This represents the trim that's fixed to the wall on this side, and the trim is fixed to the door on this side. And the top has no trim, it just slides underneath into the casing, and it has a very fine line where the top casing is, the top trim is going to be. So this is the pivot point we found. So when I turn it, pull the door out, you'll note it clears here nicely, a little more than 1/4 of an inch, clears over here by about 1/2 inch, and it opens to 90 degrees. So she can get, and what we have here is about a 24-inch opening to walk through, which if you look at like most modern houses with smaller bathrooms, it's a 24-inch door. So this is my mock-up. The next step, of course, is to go take out a mortgage to buy some plywood. This is going to be furniture-grade plywood because it's all going to be painted. There will be a center shelf that's fixed within the cabinet to give it greater stability, and the back is going to be 1/2 inch, so it's going to be very rigid. I'll pop up some drawings when I get started making the parts up into the video, and you can see what we're dealing with here. But that's my mock-up. That proves the concept. So let's talk about the hinges a little bit. The lower hinges are basically 1/4-inch steel plate powder coated with a hardened bearing surface and a hardened pin, and that sits like that, and that rotates the bottom of the bookcase. Doesn't look like much, but these things hold about 150 pounds, maybe more. The upper hinge, this piece here, sits in the bookcase, and then in the casing, there's an articulated pin arrangement that just, you can see that coming down. And the way this works is you put all the parts together into the bookcase and the casing, and then you put it on place in the lower hinge. You move the piece up, and you drilled a hole in the bookcase to get to this screw, and then you screw this down into the bookcase, and then the hinge is in place. There'll be a little bit of lubrication, but this screws all the way down tight. Now, the mortise for these are interesting. But what I did was I decided to go with the CNC. So these are my test pieces. I just drew them up in AutoCAD, and then I cut them out on the CNC machine. And there's the one for the casing, the upper casing one. All right. And then we have this one here, which is for the top of the bookcase. Rotates like that. And these are a little tighter. This is for the bottom of the casing, for the bookcase to rotate in. And this is for the bottom of the bookcase. So that sits like this and goes into this one here. And it's hard to see in camera with this, and rotates. They'll all get lubricated, of course. These are fairly robust pieces of gear. I mean, there's a really good kit. Like I said, it'll hold 150, 200 pounds, and then you lubricate these just a bit for longevity. But this is the way we went. Now there are fully articulated hidden hinges that go into the jambs and into the door itself, but those are designed to be mortised in about that far, and we would have needed 3 of them. And there's no jam on this like this. It's a bookcase and it's a casing, and there's 3/4-inch stock. So we went with these hinges, top and bottom, and it'll pivot. So those are the hinges. I will be cutting the inletting in the on the CNC, and then we'll fasten the whole thing together, and then we'll do a test fit and make sure it works. Now, everything's going to be glued and screwed together. And like I said, the back is going to be 1/2-inch plywood, and it's going to sort of be very, very rigid for the bookcase. The casing will be a little bit wobbly until I get it in the doorway, to where I'll shim it perfectly straight and perfectly level, and then we'll just slide it in. And I know I'm oversimplifying everything. It's not going to be a really easy project, but it's challenging, and that's what I like to do. So I don't know if that's it for this. I think that's it for this video. The next video will be ripping out the materials and then starting the assembly of the bookcase and the casing in the rough.